during my story, before I actually found out or discovered about the number of ride-hailing apps that actually tried to launch since 2014, over a decade ago, the news broke out that Simply Ride, an app, ride-hailing app, was launched by a group of drivers. That was about, I think, 2 weeks ago. So I was curious to find out, okay, what it actually meant. Like, okay, Simply Ride, a local app, has launched, right? So what's the big deal? While having a phone discussion with Mr. Ibrahim, General Secretary to AT1, that's App-Based Transporters of Nigeria, during the course of our discussion, he told me that, Bunmi, I need to tell you something. This Simply Ride is going to just feel just like the others. And he said, let me tell you something, that since 2014, or since Uber tried to launch, over 2,500 riding apps have actually launched. And what even pained him was that close to, let's say, 90% of these apps are local apps, or more like indigenous apps, right? Most companies in Nigeria, or maybe a businessman wants to try and start up the ride-hailing business in Nigeria, because Nigeria was a big opportunity because of our population and then the rising middle class in that economy before the recession came in. During the course of my research, I discovered that the first ride-hailing app to actually launch in Nigeria was actually not Uber, right? It was actually Easy Taxi. And Easy Taxi is a foreign brand, but it came from Brazil. They actually launched other ride-hailing apps in other countries and decided to expand to Nigeria. But the company did not last for more than 2 years, and it had to shut down because it was acquired by another company. So when it shut down, then you have Uber, which came in, and then you have Oga Taxi. That's the first local app in Nigeria. But Oga Taxi being very popular at that time, people were excited that a local brand was coming to actually change the market space and create competition. It did not last for, say, maybe 6 or 7 years, because when I checked their social media handles, maybe as far back as 2019, they were not really active. And then you have Oga Taxi, you also have Smart Ride and some other apps that actually tried to launch. But what's interesting is that most of these apps that tried to launch actually came in before the COVID-19 pandemic, right? But then after the COVID-19 pandemic, I discovered that most of them were no longer in the market. When the reforms came into 2023, petrol prices spiked more than double. I mean, within a space of, let's say, 2 years, petrol prices have spiked by over 400%. And for anybody that's in transportation business, it was not easy for you to survive without high cost of petrol. And then you also have to understand that most of the parts that are used to fix the car or maintain the cars are imported. And you know, the FX reform, that's general devaluation, also spiked the cost of importation products. The driver also told me that they are not able to make enough money to actually save. Okay, so this is not me, it's what an Uber driver told me that shuffles between both Uber and him, right? They actually told me that he prefers using the Uber ride because whenever his car has issues, right, or maybe there's an issue with the car, he just goes to one of the Uber stations and they fix the car. I mean, he doesn't really pay any amount of money except the commission that he gives Uber. So apart from Uber, most of these foreign guys, as both Uber and Indra, they can actually afford to actually do this for drivers because they actually have the capital, unlike the local apps which are not really backed or supported by the government. If I try to think about what needs to be done to actually improve the space, or maybe make more local guys to actually strive or compete in that place, number one is funding. I mean, the Nigerian economy right now, you don't have enough capital. And for anyone to start any business in this country, you need enough capital. I mean, look at the likes of the foreign guys. They have enough capital. Most of the capital sometimes supported by the government to actually strive in this economy. For these guys that actually launched in 2025, I can't say if they are going to succeed, because right now the competition has even gotten more tougher. Right, so if these guys want to come in, like I said, they should not expect getting their returns quickly, right? They should have enough capital. So these guys coming in, it actually shows that the space is still promising, right? Major players can still come and play in this space, but like I said, I don't know how they're going to survive, right? Because I feel they might end up just like with the likes of those that are actually the local ones that also try to compete in that space. But I really don't know much. I can't really say much. But towards the end of the year, we can actually say, or maybe know how their performance or how they will be, whether they're going to survive or maybe they're going to shut down.